at last when I have nearly everything in my mind except the notes. I have the structure and the form and the balancing ideas, possible ideas of orchestration, and I begin, and my beginning point here is to go to the piano where I am immediately now in order to see if I can find what I wanted to find. I did in fact want some sharp chords which would give the impression of like that, you see, as though something were waiting to go off. And those I even thought in my mind that they were something like an engine waiting to burst. Then I would have to put them down, and this, I'm afraid, is a faded piece of paper in which, believe it or not, those indicate with almost accurate instructions what those chords were made of. That's to say, there are trumpets are to play, trombones are to play, horns are to play, and some percussion. Now, when I ask myself, what does this music really express? This is very difficult to define in words, because if I could, I'd probably write words. But the point really is that it's a silly answer. It only expresses itself. But there are certain things that I can tell you about it. And that is that it must be concerned with the interior of my psyche, a very difficult term, because I don't even know where the psyche is in the body or in the mind. But this is the vital thing, so that it's not about the sensations of the external world, but about the intimations, intuitions, dreams, the fantasies, the emotions, the feelings, particularly the feelings of our inner experience. And that insofar as we, poets or whatever, have to use words, or others have to use outside experiences, I use sound. These are, whatever happens from the outside world, and I take from the outside world, it must be in some strange way transmuted. Now, this is a magical process. I cannot define it to you, nobody knows what it is, and yet I have to operate it. And I operate it with a necessity, an obsession, which is so strong that I've only understood all my life slowly that this obsessiveness continues and may have such an obsession that I am sometimes mystified almost as between what is the outside world, you know, what is that I put up on the piano, you see, and what the inner thing that sound is going to be in this curious set of emotions in which I'm trying to give expression to. Now, I've learnt, of course, that if I went too far and allowed the whole of my external ordinary experience to be dominated by this transmutatory process, then I would, of course, go mad. It would be schizophrenia. Therefore, you have to have, as an artist, a very delicate balance between allowing, again, I must use a complicated bodily metaphor. I always imagine that there is, as it were, somewhere inside some membrane which allows the unconscious, whatever that jargon is, the intimations in dreams to come through from something which is holding it like that, you see, breaking it out, letting it come out into a form. Now, as soon as that form comes out, and if it's going to swamp me, I have to use here my mind, my head, the rational process, my sense of form, of shape. I have to polarize these two in some such way that when it's down finally in that shape with all these notes and the instructions are there, not that I should get an emotion from it, but that if it were played in a concert hall, something of this strange, transmutatory, magical experience would happen to the sounds you physically hear in the concert hall. And if the work is a fine one, you go absolutely entirely within it, and everybody's membrane would begin to shift in the body in some form. Why do we want it? Nobody knows, but human beings need this for some process which we, I think, must use the word soul. We want our souls to be nourished. And unless they are nourished, then we are dead.